This afternoon, we want to talk about the ballot or the bullet. The ballot or the bullet explains itself. But before we get into it,
I be like Coachy with a coconut shell. That is why you can't get over that smell. All when Babylon knock off, I still a blaze it. It is safe to say it's good for meditating. A whole of joy, it's a reasoning. Ayatayukai herbs are seasoning.
Good morning, good people. This is Keto with the Black Agenda Report Morning Shot for Friday, October 8th, 2010. In early October 1935, 75 years ago, Italy invaded the sovereign state of Ethiopia. As Emperor Haile Selassie rallied across the world to muster armed resistance to this attack, black people across the African diaspora also rallied in support of Ethiopia's fight against imperialism. The League of Nations denied the request by Selassie for a financial grant to build up a military defense. Italy brutally invaded Ethiopia using genocidal tactics such as the spraying of chemical warfare agents such as mustard gas, the creation of concentration camps, the killings of hundreds of thousands of civilians, and mutilations of guerrilla rebels. Mussolini himself called for a politics of terror and extermination of the rebels and complicit population. So 75 years later, we should not forget that weapons of destruction such as Agent Orange are still being employed on black populations such as Afro-Colombians, and that we still have a fight on our hands against imperialism, capitalism, and the genocide of black people. In fact, WOLA, the Washington office on Latin America, has just released English translations of two very informative documents, one entitled 8 Years After Plan Colombia, and the other, Buenaventura, Caught Between War and Despair, that display the disastrous consequences of the eternal armed conflict in Colombia. To obtain these documents, please visit their website. Meanwhile, in the United States, FBI agents have been cleared in the shooting death of Muslim leader Imam Luqman Ameen Abdullah. Abdullah was shot 20 times in an October 28, 2009 FBI raid of a warehouse in Dearborn, Michigan. The FBI was attempting to arrest Abdullah and 4 others on multiple federal criminal charges, including conspiracy to receive and sell stolen property, mail fraud, and illegal possession of firearms and body armor. According to AOL News correspondent David Lohr, federal court filings claim that Abdullah, age 53, was the head of a Detroit mosque and leader of a national radical fundamentalist Sunni group whose mission is to create an Islamic state governed by Sharia law. The documents also said Abdullah preached anti-government violence and called on his followers to conduct an offensive jihad. Abdullah's community has challenged many of these claims. According to the Associated Press, many have also questioned whether the agents used excessive force. In addition to being shot multiple times, Abdullah had wounds that an independent forensic pathologist concluded were caused by an attack on Abdullah by a police dog. Some speculate that Abdullah fired his gun in an attempt to defend himself against the dog. Jeff Garrett of the Detroit Free Press questions if the federal government needed to deploy 66 agents, including 14 elite counterterrorism and hostage agents from Virginia, to capture Abdullah, who was essentially charged with fencing stolen goods. Furthermore, Abdullah's killing followed an extensive 2-year undercover operation. According to a Dearborn police report, the operation included officers with U.S. Border Patrol, Immigration Customs Enforcement, Royal Canadian Military Police, Wayne County Sheriff's Department, Detroit Police, and Dearborn Police, not to mention the FBI. And perhaps the most disturbing fact was that Abdullah was found dead and handcuffed after the shooting. Meanwhile, according to the AP, Republican Senate candidate Sharron Angle recently addressed a Tea Party rally in Nevada, in which she singled out Dearborn as one American city among others that have allowed Muslim religious law to take hold, further stating that the country needs to address this militant terrorist situation. Dearborn Mayor Jack O'Reilly called Angle's comments shameful, stating that Tea Party groups inaccurately spread the word that Dearborn was ruled by Islamic law after members of an anti-Islamic group were arrested at an Arab cultural festival in June because a Christian volunteer complained of harassment. Ironically, however, O'Reilly makes no mention of his own police department's involvement in the attacks on Abdullah. And last but not least, it's Black History Month in the United Kingdom. For those of you in the area of Brighton and Hove, on October 12th, there was a screening of the film Injustice, which chronicles the struggles for justice of the families of people killed by police in the UK. Indeed, police brutality is a global phenomenon affecting African people across the whole world. This has been Keto with the Black Agenda Report Morning Shot for Friday, October 8th, 2010. Peace.